Welcome to Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. That's Justin Wells. That's Coach Dub. Thank you for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We bring recruiting intel all year long. And also, we bring recruiting intel all year long over on Inside Texas. So make sure you go to that first link in our description. Go to this QR code you see at the top of the screen in just a moment. Sign up for just $1. They'll get you all the best Texas Longhorns football insight, best recruiting intel as 2027 recruiting heats up. Texas hosted a couple of visitors even throughout the inclement weather. They also have coaches on the road seeing top 2027, 2028, 2029 prospects throughout the state. So we've got it all over on Inside Texas. We'll touch a little bit on it today. Charlie wrote about that earlier, and we've got all the info on that there. But we got to talk a little bit about where Texas 2026 signees were ranked in the final Rivals 300. I don't think there are any well, I don't know. Justin, I'll let you get to it. But a 23-man class that had 14 top 300 players. I know there's a lot of focus on the transfer portal and instant impact and stuff like that, but these are still the guys that lay the foundation. And for most of your players to be top 300, that's pretty good haul that you see there.
Yeah, it really is. I'm sorry, I was bringing up my story that I'd written, and for some reason it was glitching on me. Look, the portal recruiting is going to be important. We know that moving forward, but it's going to be in cycles. Some cycles, Texas is going to focus more on high school recruits. Some cycles are going to focus more on the portal. You're still going to have the baseline, guys, and that's the lifeblood, and that is high school football recruiting. And it's still important. These guys wouldn't be on the road for the last two weeks and another week ahead if it wasn't. It's very important. And as usual, Texas did really well in recruiting. It's hard when you have Steve Sarkisian on campus. It's hard for them not to sign a top 5, top 10 type class. I wrote a story earlier today where Rivals got it right and where Rivals got it wrong. And overall, I think they did a really good job. You know, we do get kind of critical. I know that. And a lot of it's just for the back and forth and the fun of it. But some of the stuff was just flat out blatant. And that was the fun part of it. But, hey, man, Texas, when you went through it, they had how many? You said 14 in the top 300? And you could make a case for a couple other guys that could have possibly been in that top 300. And so, hey, it's important to Texas. It's important to Sark and important to that player personnel and roster development staff. So it's important to us.
And looking back, the 2020, so 14 top 300 players in this cycle. The number one class last year in 2025 had 15 top 300 players, a few more top 100 guys. The 2024 class had 11, and the 2023 class had 16. Of course, that had Arch Manning. And, you know, we've been talking about the portal for the last month and all that. But, you know, you look at this team, when it's 50-50, Charlie, and maybe even 60-40 in some respects, that's never going to diminish the importance of high school recruiting. It may change an approach to it, especially with money. Right. But when you're bringing in 20 guys, let's say 8 leave, and you're bringing in 8, that still means 12 from a certain class are still on campus are going to be the basis. High school recruiting is never going to not be important until somebody shows something that's maybe a little bit more sustainable than what Indiana did in signing old players who aren't always going to be in the portal.
You know, yeah, high school recruiting is still the foundation, or should be the foundation of your program, right? You got to bring in some guys and show some true development. If you're just going to live off free agency or transfer portal, right? Where do you have a home base at? Like, what can you sell kids on? Like, it's going to be hard to recruit high schools if you turn away from it, right? So yeah, it has to be a foundation. Also, recruiting high schools, a lot of those kids, if they don't come to you, well, you got a relationship with them when they hit the portal and they come back to you. So
the overlapping relationship.
Yeah, it always matters. And so you want to keep that because a lot of these kids are from the same hometown that you recruit year in and year out. They're from the DFW area, from Houston and other states. So you want to continue to recruit high schools and build those relationships because at the end of the day, those high school coaches still have a great relationship with those kids wherever they may go to school. And so I think going forward, yeah, like you said, the structure may change on how you do it or who you target in high school, but you still got to recruit to high school because it's the foundation of a program or should be.
All right, so we got 14 top 300 guys to talk about. And, I know we're probably used to seeing guys closer to the top 5. I know, it's weird.
That's what she's used to.
Yeah.
Closer to the top 5 and stuff like that. Texas has 2 5-stars, though. We are used to seeing that. And Richard Wesley, number 29 edge in the Rivals, number 29 overall prospect in the Rivals 300. Lots of really great edges in the 2026 class, including number 1 overall prospect Luke Waffle from Rivals, which, you know what? I can see it. But Richard Wesley reclassifies Charlie, and it's still the number 29 prospect in this class, an impressive prospect that I think we still may be underrating just how important he is a little bit.
Yeah, look, and Justin said he's still 16. Like, to reclassify and still come out as a 5-star, that says a lot about your talent and ability, or where you could be, or where they project you to be. And so, you look at him, he doesn't look 16 whatsoever. Doesn't look like a baby. Just now, what should be a junior in high school. But man, I think still sky's the limit with this kid, right? I can't wait to see what he turns into and what his body grows, how he grows and develops, especially his first year on campus. I want to see, how much they make him eat and how much weight they put on him and how much stronger he gets. But it says a lot about it being ranked a 5-star after reclassifying.
Justin, this is a player, again, his body could go a lot of different directions, and most of them are going to be positive. Like, he may stay on the edge and be a perfect 5-tech for this defense. He may end up, who knows where he could end up? He could end up looking like the next Justice Terry. There's so many different ways he could go, and Texas is going to be able to reap the benefits of all of them.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of him getting not just enrolling or not just reclassifying, but he's also enrolled early. This guy's going through classes. We talked to Kasai Curry, his former teammate at Sierra Canyon a few weeks ago at Junior Day, and Richard. He said he was at home. He was already settled in. It already felt like he had his place. The 2 5-stars in this class, they're significant because of what we've said. Wesley was a reclassified kid. That's impressive. On a defense, it's one thing if you're further away from the line of scrimmage to reclassify, but you get closer to the ball, man. That's some serious business. The fact that he maintained that 5-star is big, and I want to give Rivals credit for keeping Diabell in the 5-star loop. Granted, they got him right on the edge, and I'm sure there's something to that, but you can't discount a kid because of an injury. You really can't. Not when we've seen what he can do when he is healthy. Now, granted, he was a top 5, top 10 kid for almost 2 years. So naturally, some other guys ascended when he wasn't able to play. But I want to give Rivals credit. There was a few things they got wrong in here, but these are 2 that they got right. Diabell and 2 guys that enrolled early that had different circumstances and situations, but their projection, their potential is still enough to hold that 5th star, and that was a big deal.
I was, and we can move to Diabell with this one. I think we all knew a drop was coming because he missed most of it.
We didn't know how much.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It's not an injury thing, especially when, we don't know the extent of it, but it's upper body, not lower body. That's something a little bit more easier to come back from than like an ACL or Achilles or anything like that. But it's important for football players to play football. Right. And I think a drop compared to some other players who did play football is fair, but I think it's still worth noting that they decided to keep him in the 5-star ranks. And I think that's really important. And, Charlie, at this juncture, kind of looks like next season, whenever Arch Manning is, probably the number 1 overall pick somewhere, Texas will be deciding between a talented prospect and talented player in KJ Lacey and someone with a ton of upside in Diabell in a really fun quarterback competition.
Yeah, we're going to have a real quarterback competition next year going into the spring. I can't wait to see that one. I'm going to see how they battle out. He'll have a year under his belt in offense. KJ will have 2 years. And so, I want to see him battle for the 2nd spot now. Like, I want to see, I know Diabell's going to come in behind because he has to learn everything, but I want to see how close he gets to KJ now. And then by next offseason, see where they're at and going and, battling each other for the number 1 spot. It's going to be interesting because I think they both do a lot of great things. Both they can lead in different ways, but man, it's going to be a tough competition. I don't see either one of them backing down.
Do you remember the last quarterback that was dropped, Texas signee that was dropped in his final recruiting rankings? Archibald Manning.
It's true.
And you know why he was dropped? Because we had been writing for 2 years how he was the number one prospect, and they just had to change it up. Man, they had it right the whole time, but then they had to overthink the room. They got overcoached. And now when the first pick in the draft is Arch Manning next year and Nico I'm a bottom is going to be somewhere else, I don't know what's going to happen.
The interesting thing about Dia, still the number one player in Florida. And I think that's something,
really?
Yeah, I think that's
now that's substantial that there's 31 other guys there's other guys that wouldn't be considered the number one player in Florida. That's an honor in and of itself. We got a guy on this list, Derek Cooper, who won the Nat Moore Trophy, best high school football player in Miami. There are 2 players on this list that should be 5 stars, and I'm gonna give you both the opportunity to find them.
I think
there's
one's on the screen
here, guys.
Yeah, that's one.
I think there's one on the screen. In your opinion,
There is one.
We'll get to that in a second. Jamarian Carlton, number 48 overall prospect. They ranked him as a defensive lineman, and I can get to this real fast.
And that's probably where he's going.
Yeah.
Brilliant Society, who is number 1, Luke Waffle from New Jersey, signed with USC. He was the number 1 overall prospect.
We loved him, but he absolutely dominated last year and even dominated the All-Stars at those All-Star camps. That kid could not be blocked. Like he was in – that's Bosa. He's got to be a Bosa. Why does my chair keep falling? He's got to be a Bosa.
Charlie, when you look at Jamarian Carlton, someone who was living in the top 100 in rankings for a while, finds his way into the top 50 near the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at his senior tape, he's come on, like the light bulbs come on. Like you can see the maturation of his play from his junior year to his senior year. Like he looks like a grown man, so to speak, especially in the lower body, right? I mean, he's a lot. He's still explosive. He did a great job at the USA Army All-American camp. He's beating a lot of dudes too. He was pretty consistent too. So it's good to see him get a bump in his rankings. But I think Justin's film of him dunking in basketball might have helped too, because he shows he's an athlete. He's a big guy, but he's an athlete as well, man. I like that for him a lot.
I think it's a great ranking, and it's still indicative of where they see him as a defensive lineman. They think he can do well there. All right, Tyler Atkinson, number 50. And I saw this from AJJ. What world is Atkinson not a 5-star? Man, I've been saying this for a while. He's a 5-star athlete. I'm not sure if he's a 5-star linebacker quite yet.
Just yet. Yeah.
50 is still kind of low for this type of thing, though. Justin?
He's a 5. He's a 5, but I think you even replied to it on the board at InsideTexas.com. Come see us. It really is the best time. You had mentioned it. You nailed it. That's a 5-star athlete who has 5-star traits, who has 5-star potential and 5-star ability. It's just not always there right now. Why do you think he's enrolled early? To get to that next level, not to get another star, to get himself ready. And that it's a 5-star mindset. Right. Everything about Tyler Atkinson says 5-star, except what this website says.
I'm looking forward to seeing him, and I think he may not get some standard out. Actually, I take that back. He might get standard down action this year just because this is not a very deep linebacker room. It's thin numbers wise. So we're going to probably see a lot of them this upcoming season.
He's going to get a crash course.
Before we keep going to talk about one of the best prospects in state, got to talk about Roback real quick. TX20, 20% off for all new customers. You get the joggers, you get the Texas apparel, you get the state of Texas apparel, you get some of the best athletic and athleisure gear out there. RHOBACK.com. Use the code TX20 for 20% off all new customers. And as we continue, Charlie, they ranked John Turntine, early enrollee, as an interior offensive lineman, probably somebody who could play tackle in a pinch. Maybe, am I wrong in thinking a little bit about Donovan Jackson at this point, the Bel Air Episcopal kid who went to Ohio State, or is that
Donovan was a lot bigger, I thought.
Yeah, I think Don was a lot bigger. Look, it's good to see where he's ranked. I think maybe he's higher if his weight isn't. I don't know how much the kid weighs, but
right, Charlie, his weight. Think about his weight. Wouldn't he be a tackle at a lightweight?
Yeah, he's still
at a lighter weight. They're putting him inside.
Yeah,
they're overthinking the room on this.
They are. They really, truly are. I mean, he's a tackle until he's a guard, but I want to see how
Thank you.
much weight he gains. He needs to gain, right? But I think he's ranked even higher if his profile, his build is a lot bigger than what it is. I think he dropped in rankings just because he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I don't think you saw somebody. Just hear me out when I say this. When you watch Kelvin Banks' film, you see somebody who's nasty on the football field. John Turntine does not physically look like Kelvin Banks right now, but they have a similar disposition when it comes to how they play on the football field, and I think that's valuable. Texas listed him at 270 upon signing. He's just over 6'4", probably in that range. That was where Banks was. You don't have to be these 6'6", 330, athletic supermen.
No, sometimes they don't look that.
To play tackle in college. He's got the feet for it. He's got the capability to play football at a high level at the SEC in the SEC. Yeah. And I think this number 61 ranking, I think it probably is a little bit of a bet on his athletic ability, and that he'll maintain it as he gains a little bit of weight. As we keep going, James Johnson, defensive tackle, the only defensive tackle here in this class, didn't play a lot during his senior year, yet still retains that number 80 ranking out of Florida. Big flip from Georgia. That may be the most fun part of this one, but a pass rushing interior defensive lineman for Texas from the Sunshine State, Justin.
Yes, that's James Johnson. That's JJ. Listen, the most substantial thing about him right now is that they flipped him from Georgia on SEC Media Day. There's some question about how much he was able to play this year, but apparently it didn't affect this. Now, this is another guy like Dia that started the year in the top 10, top 15. And so sometimes these rankings, and this kind of plays it out. But I don't like that this is the only D lineman in the class, but I do like that they made up for it in the portal instead of how they did it 2 years ago with Sadir Mitchell, where they just came into camp with one new defensive lineman. Texas said, no. We're going to sign one. Mm-hmm. We got a couple more coming from the portal. James Johnson needs, a full red shirt. I think he needs a full season in a program of strength and conditioning. He needs a red shirt. He needs to reshape his body. I think in 12 months, James Johnson will look more like that top 5, top 10 kid we saw a year ago rather than now.
Charlie, in this defense too, we saw only, for the most part, 2 defensive linemen. We see 3 now, probably a little bit more often, depending on what Will Muschamp wants to do, depending on what personnel other teams want to throw out there. Even so, they're probably not going to need James Johnson this year unless he proves that they need him.
No, he's not.
No, definitely don't. With the bodies you have in there, you stockpile that room. You did a great job the last 2 years reshaping that room with the portal, and you got a lot of guys with multiple years of experience left. So no reason for him to rush him onto the field with a bunch of groom in.
Real quick on this one, any 5 stars come out of West Texas? There's still a few. There were some good receivers, not 5 stars, but there were
5 stars don't live in West Texas.
There were some good receivers that came from the Lubbock area. The thing with Midland and Odessa is when you look at Permian right now, they run a system that's not conducive to 5-star athletes. They run like an option system. So you're not finding a lot of 5 stars who want to play for Mojo. But if you really want to go to West Texas, El Paso has put out some good players in the past few years. Jake Fetty, who's going to Arizona State, a quarterback. He was very highly ranked for a while. I think he's dropped out of the 5-star.
He was a 4, but he's a dude. You just don't find 5 stars in West Texas. They're few and far between. And I'm sure there's been some over the last 40 or 50 years. But just think about it like this. How often do we see LSU, Alabama, USC, Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia in a West Texas high school? Right. You don't. The only people you see in a West Texas high school is Joey McGuire, and that's just because he's there for the free lunch.
Real quick, Kosi Akpala ranked as an edge. Feels like the perfect Trey Moore replacement down the line. And
good call.
I think this is a really nice – it's a ranking mostly based on traits, I feel like, Charlie, but it's still a great ranking nonetheless.
Yeah, that and if you look at his senior film, like for good reason. I think he was ranked a lot lower than this before that, right? If I'm not mistaken. But you look at his senior film, you see his get off and how he dominates people, man. I think he's a true edge. I think he's a guy that comes in and plays behind. Well, not second string, but maybe third in rotation behind Colin Simmons. I think he's that type of edge who can get home. In my opinion, versus a linebacker, you put him on the edge, I think he dominates and takes over.
He's not a linebacker right now.
Mm-mm.
I'm excited to see what they do. Justin, I have a feeling this one's a what Rivals got wrong ranking.
Yeah, brother. I mean, here's the thing. You want to talk about football. We're talking about football, right? Best football player on this list is Jermaine Bishop. The best senior player on this list is Jermaine Bishop. The tape is ridiculous, okay? We don't give this guy enough love. 5 stars isn't really enough. If he was from East Texas, he'd probably get his JW 6. Jermaine Bishop, and he didn't just do this on offense and scoring touchdowns. Go look at his defensive stats. Holy crap. Now, this is a kid that I always kind of projected as being an NFL corner. Now, I've relearned some things. This kid can do whatever he wants, okay? Holy smoke. This kid has a bat signal, and you're going to put him at 139? Look, Rivals, I gave you a lot of credit, a lot of props throughout this show. I thought you did a good job on this final release. And, Charles Power and Cody Belair, those guys do a great job, but you failed here. Like, this is an F. This is an F, like, stamped on it with a big red F with a circle. Buddy, Jermaine Bishop is a 5-star athlete. I've seen 5 stars ranked that weren't as good as Jermaine Bishop. This kid is ridiculous, and he did this year after year after year. And every year he lost a 5-star along the way. From his sophomore year to his junior year to his senior year, he had lost a big-time player on his team. He just took that on. If a kid has a bat signal, that's a 5-star. I'm done.
It's one of those things where you can want him to be a certain height and you want him to be a certain weight, but then what else do you want? Do you want him to have more touchdowns? It's just one of those things, especially.
I like a certain speed, Joe. It's called
robbery. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
The next one is,
and I'll turn this over to you, Charlie, right before I have to take care of a little bit of mess being made. This is a big riser for Texas and a big ranking compared to some of the other industries. Nicholas Robertson, very much a center, probably the center take in this class, and maybe for a couple of years, jumps up to 153. And there's a certain offensive lineman go to a school in West Texas who was once ranked a lot higher, only about 11 spots higher now at 142 for Felix Ojo. And I know he's crying about it too. Nicholas Robertson, 153 in the class.
Deservingly so. Look, I saw this kid go to Orlando at the All-America practices game and dominate. He went up against guys like Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, and held his own the whole week he was there. So Nicholas Robinson, I think he's not talked about. He's underrated. He's an underdog, but man, I'm telling you now, he doesn't get to campus to the fall. I know he's a late enrollee in the summer when that used to be kind of a normal thing, but when he gets there, he's going to make up ground quickly because he can play. He can flat out play. He can move. Once he needs to kind of, reshape his body a bit, but once he gets on campus, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I like Robinson a lot.
Charlie, do you think he's a center?
The way I saw him move, he can play guard. I mean,
I know he's a guard. I know he's a guard.
I don't know about center though.
I don't think he has center traits, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. He didn't line up at center. I didn't get to see him snap much at the Under Armour.
And that's also that's a really complex position. I think Peyton Miller, the 2027 kid out of Anna, is more in line with that. But look, we've talked about it for how many months at Inside Texas. They need guards.
Right. Texas
has done a good job at tackle. They need guards. And buddy, and then Nicholas Robertson, after watching his tape, and I think he took that stuff personal, man. I think he took the 3-star. He didn't have a ton of offers. Nobody really pushed really hard. Texas loved him from the start. Nicholas Robertson might be the best story in this group.
Yeah. Cohen Brown, someone we've talked about that has some versatility, but ends up in the top 200 in the final rankings. And Justin, this turned into a pretty solid wide receiver class in the end.
Yeah, I think he's in that athlete category that you like to talk about a lot too. He could be a receiver. He could be a DB. I think he's a receiver in this cycle, but it's going to come down to him getting on campus and where he's the best fit. I really think. But Cohen is a pure athlete. I remember Charlie went to go see him a couple times in Waxahachie in the last year or so. And each time, we're looking at Jaquan Snell. We're looking at some of these other guys, Cedric Marsh Jr. Cohen Brown was the dude. Cohen Brown was the guy that was playing on both sides and making plays. And this is a former USC commit as well. And so I like that Texas got in the mix and flipped him. Charlie, you got to see him in person. What is it about Brown that kind of stands out?
Honestly, Cohen's just a flat out dog. I mean, I'm telling you, look, he's running by the DeSoto defense, and then he's playing corner covering Booby Feaster. Like covering how many kids he doesn't shy away from competition at all. He wants all the smoke. So this is gonna be a kid I think
he's competitive
because he just wants it. It's not gonna matter, right? He's gonna get on campus and go against the veteran. He does not care. You got to line up every day and put your mouthpiece in versus Cohen Brown. I'll tell you that.
If you're gonna drop rankings. Okay, if you're going to drop rankings, it's sometimes because of a bad senior season or an injury or maybe even an average one. Derek Cooper had a great one, and he dropped. Like, I don't get that. This is one of those where they got it wrong. I don't understand this. This was a top 5, top 10 tailback for the last 3 years. What former Georgia commit, Miami was dumping a bag on him. Florida State tried to get him late. Derek Cooper had a great senior year. What video did they watch? Were they watching his 8th grade tape or something? What videos did they watch that they decided, you know what, this guy is less, and less? Give me a break. If he wouldn't have had a good senior year, all right, I'd have pumped the brakes. Dude, that's what Paulie, that's exactly what I'm coaches. Listen, Derek Cooper, that kid brings a big presence to that running back room. 210 pounds. He's only going to get a little bit bigger. That's an SEC running back who had a great senior year. Miss me with this 216 mess. Thank you, Paulie.
The one thing that I guess affects running back rankings, it's like, are they running through holes or are they just outrunning people? Like but Charlie, it felt like he was actually doing running back stuff instead of just getting the ball and running, Yeah,
he's definitely doing running back things. You can see him making people miss in the hole. They run a little outside zone, inside zone. You can see him picking and choosing where to go. Like,
yes,
he did running back things, caught the ball up the back there. Like, what else could you ask for? Maybe they don't like his running motion because he swings his arm like he's about to punch somebody. I don't know. They're just being picky with this one. Yeah,
I think it's some of the overlap of linebacker, Charlie. Because I don't know how much linebacker he played this year. And remember, that was his original spot. He's raw. He's a very raw running back. But from what I saw in the last 6 months, that didn't look raw. That looked cooked.
Somebody wanted to scroll back up to the top.
She's got some thoughts too, man, and that's fine. But let's
Torrey
get these DBs.
Torrey Davis, number 258, feels like this one was a kind of a late riser. But Charlie, we watched him and we thought, this guy is just a all-around really good safety. He may not be a corner, but he's a really good safety, and he did everything I think you wanted to see from him on his tape, and Texas made a great steal out of Rocky Mountain State.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where maybe he doesn't have all the big offers and say, oh, maybe he's not as talented, but you look at his film, he's versatile. He can do a lot. Play field safety, boundary safety, get up and press people, and he can run on top of that. And I think he showed some film on him playing receiver. He can high point the football. He showed some ball skills, so he may be underrated, but you got an absolute player in Torrey Davis, I feel.
Charlie knows about this next kid, Joe. Charlie, are there 35 corners better than Samari Matthews?
No, and somebody's going to pay for that, and they're going to get all the smoke. I mean, that's his nickname, but you're about to get it.
You're getting a lot of it.
This is disrespectful. I've seen this kid shut down everybody. I mean, from OT7 last year, I guess that's around March of last year, in 707, he shut down people left and right, no matter where he lined up, safety, nickel, corner, and then he did it again throughout the football season, which he ended with a state championship. He didn't give up over 2 catches in the playoffs in the state. How is he ranked this low? I have no idea, but you're going to find out about my man Matthews. Watch.
Last but certainly not least of the 14 in the Rivals 300, Rocky Cummings, late ad from Carlsbad. The coaching change at Cal was beneficial to Texas. And Justin, this is a player I think can maybe fit in I think him and Akpala are a little bit similar in what their positional fits are. Could be inside guys, maybe profile more as outside guys, but somebody who's just really, really athletic. And I'm going to trust Justin Wilcox when it comes to identifying linebackers. And I'm also going to trust Johnny Nansen a little bit as well.
Yeah, this was one that I felt like the Rivals rankings got right. A late riser. A lot of times sometimes they miss on these guys. But dude, the kid has tremendous tape. Like, he had really, really good tape. I actually think he could be a linebacker. The problem is, I think, what is he, 6'3.5", 6'4"? So like Kosi, he may, physically grow out of it in a sense, but I do think they like what he can bring. I've got a comp for you, Joe, that I think you're going to like. Scott Derry. I get a Scott Derry vibe out of Rocky Cummings. That's the former Pearland 4-star and one of Joe Cook's top prospects that we've ever discussed. I think
Don't put that on him. Don't put that on him.
Scott Derry started at Texas. If Rocky Cummings starts at Texas, you're going to be the first person I call, and then I'm going to have Scott call you on three-way. He started at Texas, Joe.
I know he did. I'm trying.
There's no way to come back from that. There's no follow-up.
I know where to follow up. You need to follow up over at InsideTexas.com. Go to that first link in our description, or use that QR code there at the top left of the screen. Sign up for just $1. We got all the best recruiting insight. In about a year, we'll be talking about the 2027 Rivals 300 and Texas additions from that class. The Longhorns are trying to make a lot of different additions now, coaches on the road. Charlie, you covered that. We don't have time to get to that right now, but Steve Sarkisian, Kenny Baker, Alan Clark, all the different coaches are out on the road. You have chronicled all their different travels over the past couple of days. So lots of fun over at Inside Texas. Justin, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Recruiting Intel. Here we go, on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.